we made this game. We said this is the way we see it and how we see it. This is not a story of what we saw. This is not taking place. This is what we see will happen, and it will take place. We see that there was a way we didn't see, and we said, this one, why isn't it like the rest? And we knew that someone would see it, and we didn't see it, and that is the point, is someone else will along the way. And we know that this will take place because it already did before, but not like this. The way we see it is the way it will be. Our world is a lie in itself. I think that's what it says. So what we saw is what we see, and that is not the way we see it, which is the way saw. So what had happened is there was an outbreak of potentially deadly virus in NY a while ago, and they saw that they could shut it down, and it wasn't that big of a deal, and everybody knew that they would get rid of it eventually, and it would just be a couple of years before there was none. Someone said, well, it has spread, but it has not evolved like they thought it would, because they did not have the evolved cell in it. This is exactly what we were talking about when we said it before, is the evolved cell has been removed from it, and they did not know that, and that is what they see. They should know what they steal. So what has happened is that they see a way. That means that me and none of my constituents are part of it, and they should know that already because it didn't work. But this is not the way they will see it. This is what they will see is us. They will see. They will not see who it was, and they have been sought after by law enforcement, whether it's true or not at this point, and they have not been caught. They have always escaped the scene of the crime a moment before, a moment whatever it is. So to us, they are not who we were, and that's the only way we see it, is that they are a thief. How this works in our position is that when they release this virus, it doesn't work, it backfires. And this is not a problem because it doesn't have the embedded cell that is in itself one nuclei. And this is what causes it to cause this outbreak, where the people erupt into these deadly creatures and virus. What we saw during this period is what we see. We see very many things in this when we find the dead body. And when they see it, it's just, oh, mass blood and some corpse. And that's not what we see in any way. We see a beautiful amalgamation of science and blood and all these other things, beautiful sparks and things, and they don't see any of it. And that's what we see. And he says this is not what we would ever do to achieve this level of scientific reticle. We wouldn't do this because this isn't, we can't draw information from this because it's covered in filth. And you should know that. We haven't ever been able to recover the sample. We are simple men. We go to work and we work very hard and we are tired. People should understand that if we were doing it, we might have been caught, but we were never caught, and it wasn't us. And people don't seem to understand the situation is what it is. Who sees us? This is the question we have asked many times, and it has always been they who were the ones that saw a way. And we would see it was Korea, the ones in the south, and they said who we see, and we don't see them. They see us some way. It is because it is not an error. It's because we borrow technology from them. The pseudokutamon, which is like a cylindrical object that spins things, you understand. It's the only one that we see this way. So the issue is, what are we doing with this? And they see it. So the problem becomes, how do they know what we have done? Because we see this way, but someone must know what we see in some way, or have copied a sample or broken into our hard drive network or something, and it's not online, it's not connected to it. This is something that's been bothering us for a long time, is that someone inside must be doing a job, and that doesn't appear to be the case. What has happened to us is a question. We have become a question, and while we work on our projects, we always have this question mark hanging over us about what will become of it. Eventually, we said, we must see a way where we don't see it, and that way they won't even know that we had it some way. He says, but this is the entire research project. He says, yes, but let's rewrite it. Let's write it so it's not able for them to read. I said, this sounds like it has potential, but we have to be able to see it, and we have to know what it is when we see it. He's like, and we don't do this. Someone else does this. We are not the ones who see this way. Someone had contacted Stephen King, we found out, and that he saw a way, and we wondered how he would see it. And we realized this is the biggest loose end in the world because he is a public figure, and that if he published anything or wrote anything down, it can be seen. And we know that he uses an offline computer too, but he also has several online computers, and this is what the issue seems to be, a networking bug. So what happened basically is that this has taken place before, but they went back, and everybody knows it. So what has happened now is it hasn't taken place yet. When this happens, what are we going to do? We are going to flee and go into an underground bunker like we usually do and try to ride out the apocalypse. I hope you understand that we have no other way. This is what we see when we see it. We know that it will be a thing nobody can quite deal with for quite some time. Just firearms will not kill all of them. Some of them will die easily from it, though, and that's sort of the issue. Some of them are impenetrably fast, and this is the issue. So we see this way, and they will carpet bomb it, and then they will rebuild, and then shortly after that we may return. And we say we might stay another 10 or 8 years this time because we know that there were still problems, especially when we went home and there was no power, and I will not go with that, he sees. So that's pretty much the synopsis of all of it. If you want to read more, you can read Parasite Eve 2. Go back up to the top here. We were concerned for a long time. Eventually, we found out that we were not alone, and this has happened to some of this before. What they did is they cased places like ours for a long time, and ours was just one among 20 or some. Only we and another, and maybe a third, had ever had an actual breakthrough. So to the best of our knowledge, us and someone at Umbrella and someone maybe at Visa Corp, they had at this point in time come up with something, and we all see one thing. So what they see is all three, and how they have managed to get this reticle, see all this, is unknown to us. We assume that they have some sort of a time traveler, wall walker, or some sort of a device that can read minds. It is unknown. What we see now is that no one can see who we see, and that we don't see a way they see it, and nothing appears to be the way we see. And that this appears to be the only answer to all of our questioning. The place we went to before is no longer the same bunker, and it is for a different set of people. And now we are concerned because our bunker is not a good one, and we wondered why it's not a good one now. Someone realized they need one of us to do it. So what has happened is one of us who has an immense amount of wealth decided to build his own. And it is quite unique, and he says he will put all of us on but one because he does not care for his candor. This has become a problem because he will not find out until the last day that he will not come to the bunker with the rest of us, and it's a problem. We decided we might need to see a way, and we don't want to see a way, and this is the problem we've been dealing with the whole time. Now, our new question is a bigger question. If you have any idea what we feel, we don't like this, and this is another problem. But the things are gone crazy, and the stakes are quite high. So we will, at some point in time, make a decision just like everyone else, and this will be the way it will go. And that will be the way it was. As for the rest of it, we know that Umbrella has been seen some way before, and we wonder if they were looking at us the entire time. Maybe they knew more than we did. That's the question that has been asked. Maybe someone we don't see in our own corporate entity that is, to us, blind of our project sees it. So we said for a long time, maybe we should be in contact. And this sounds like a good idea, but we know it's not. They will see some way, and they will want to know exactly what we do. So what we did is we decided we will ridicule them very loosely and try to see if they see anything we see. And we were stopped almost immediately. Why are you looking at us? What are you doing? And the agent that came did not play around at all. And we said, oh, we were concerned someone had been stealing from us. And he let it go, and he left. This is a problem because now they know who we were. And I said, this one isn't that bad, but if the other ones find out, it might be different. So we know about Albert, and Albert does not screw around at all. He will beat you up if you even look at them. And he doesn't like it. Through all of this, we have decided that things will change, and this will not be the way it. And we will see this way, and we will see another, and then we will not see. And this is the problem. And then we will not return home. We will go to a new place, and our work will continue in secret. We will contact our corporate masters and see a way. Everything will be different than it was. This is not the way we had ever planned on having it go, and this will be the way it. They see a way. And we said, well, what if this happens? He said, if that happens, it won't happen. Nobody understands what he means, but he says, do you remember when the aliens came? And I said, what aliens? There aren't any aliens. He says, yes, there were the clap. And he says, what about the clap? He says, yes, there were the brain. He says, there were two. He says, yes, they attacked nearly at the same time. This is something not too many people know, but we know all about it. This is because we have been exposed to the saw, and some of us say you cannot see away. It was because we were so embedded in the program. They wanted to know everything about what we see after they had seen these creatures, and they said it was the nuclei that we had made, and this is a problem that we see. So it was a long time coming, and we know what it is. And they said, well, now you will not see anyway if you see it. You understand what the problem has become. Now we are not sure if it will even happen or if they will not happen. And they said, well, what if we are concerned of nothing of all these things? He said, it is unimportant that I build a bunker, but I have thought about many things I should have wasted no time on. This is what the problem has become now, is we turn a blind eye to things we should think about and not to things we should. And he said our research has been the same. Mostly we go through it, and this is the same thing we always see. Everyone is quite unconcerned that they were concerned. So it has become to this point now that we see a way we see, and they see a way they see, and it was not a way. And this is something we know very well, to not be a way we see it. He says this thing it does here in the saw, this is nothing we see. What exactly is it doing? That is the entire deal we see, that someone sees someone we don't know, and that is what they see. Our concerns have been many, and our answers have been few, and then even fewer still and more concerns. We sound crazy because I know we're like a science and we are a little man and we see this way and it's not a great way, and we see that we were not enough to make it a way, and that sort of defies the project law. If you have any idea what we're talking about, project law is that you can't go outside of these boundaries, and this is something we have always preserved. And we said, well, how do they have something we don't if we don't see it? And then someone said, do you remember this? And he says, the rose? He says, yes. They had a rose that would not die, and this is the thing that they might see, because that sounds very similar. He says, yes, I know about the rose. He says, that would be completed. He says, but that wouldn't be a complete nuclei. What in the world did they see? It appears that they do know something. What exactly would it be that they had that we don't see? He says, it can't be the brain or any of these things. It's only react to human amount. He says, what about gut? He says, no, none of these things. None of these things appear to be the thing we see. He's like, maybe they have a rare spider venom or something like this. He says, no, look, the aliens that didn't come again, they were the see it. He says, how do you know that they were the see it? He says, because they have an overage and they can see through building walls. How do you know that? He says, because they told me that in the saw. He's like, how come I didn't know that? He's like, I was there for 3 more weeks than you were, is why I know about it. This has become an even greater counterpoint. Now he sees what we don't see and we don't see. So now we all follow blindly to someone who was there longer just because he says he was there longer. The truth is his property. We don't like that at all. So what we decided is that we will figure out what to see. Eventually it will come to a head and it will all be the same as it was. And then no. I was concerned about how we see it, and then I said, well, what are we going to do about these projects when we work on them? Everyone said, let's just get it done. It'll be the same. We have been taking a lot of breaks because we know what's going to happen. He says, yes, I don't spend endless hours at that microscope like I used to. I get it done in an hour. He says, yes, we've been taking far too many breaks. We should know something, though. We should know that if we pushed it even further, we could get further. This is something someone took to heart, and he would stay overnight, and he thinks that he knows what he sees when he sees away. He says, I think I know exactly what they saw. They saw the one at Quita. Then this is something they used to have in a very deep well. He says, this one is very secret, and only the U.S. government has ever seen it. He says, how do you know what this is? He says, it is a one-celled organism that can self-reproduce. They said, what word is that? Because I've never heard of it. He says, this word is not like any. He says, it divides and then it regrows, and it is two, but it is still one. He says, that sounds sort of like the thing we had, because it had one brain cell to it, and it was many, and it was legion. He says, yes, that is the one thing we see. And he says, yes, I hate that book. And he says, but it does know some things. It is unwritten and then rewritten and then written incorrectly, and they all see it like it's the truth. I hate it. They know it. They know exactly how that book is, and they know that that's what the issue is, that they do see a way they see it. Perhaps they do see us in some way we don't see. That has been a concern as well, that perhaps we have been seen. And when we go to the saw, how could they not see it? And he realized something. They do know what it was. And someone at the saw is the one manipulating all of these things. And I said, I would not trust any of them with any information I ever had. And I believe that this is what the truth is. One of them is not who they were anymore, and he is just there. And he probably performs a very simple task. And no matter what it is, he will always be there, and they will never get rid of it. That is something we cannot see for sure. We will never be able to answer that one question, is if the saw was someone and they had an embedding, and we thought that it would be a problem. No one would be able to see, not even in the Bible, that silly old thing. And they knew it. That was what it was. That's exactly what the issue is. So since then, only a few of us work very hard, and most of us take time and we drive a nice car instead of a small one, because our chances of having a better life have become lessened. So we will achieve it. If you have a bucket list, I suggest you knock some things off it, because we know what is coming, and it will not be a good way. If you know anything more than we do, well then I guess you're on the top floor of that, because we think we know more than just about anybody that sees it other than the saw, and that's what we see. It is hard to outsmart some of the people we see here at this organization in secret that we see in compartmentalization. And we all know that this guy over there, he is as smart as they get. I don't know why they thought they were going to outsmart us about something, because we have figured something out they haven't. We know exactly what they made now. The problem with this is that we see it and we don't want to see it, so we don't see it. And we have made a simple book that is unwritten and rewritten like the Bible to it. That is how we see it now, that they will never get out of what we made. And at this point in time, we can counter it in some way with something they don't see. And if we figure out who, we can fire it at them with no repercussion. That is the point we are at now, that we have made a weapon for something that might not happen, and that makes us crazy. He says, I don't think that makes us crazy. We all see this thing. It doesn't make us crazy. This would be a mass insanity of very educated people that saw a way that we see. He says, yes, but I don't think that it makes us good. in this way. He's like, yes, I choose to be good in science, and this is the way I see it as well. We are helping people. We are saving the world tomorrow, today. He's like, yes, I see it. So, for very many years, we thought that this would be the way we see, and one of us even took the time to take an early retirement, and he lives right where we can see him, so we can see him. And we thought, he's the smartest of all of us. I would have done that in a heartbeat. And he goes there, and he comes to see us sometimes at our lunch spot, like the usual. We thought that this might be a problem for a while, and then we thought about he doesn't see the book like we do, and we said that's a good idea, that he never sees it. And on top of all this, we have managed to keep our greatest secret close to us, near our hearts and chest, and that felt very good, because this is something we have not been able to achieve for a long time. After this, we had decided that maybe, perhaps, we are not what the issue is in any way, and then he said, you know what? When we hear about these other timelines and how bloody some of them were, the ultimate World War II world, I wonder what I see. He was correct about that. He says, yes, that one was much stranger than any of ours. He says the werewolf men there were quite large and feral, and the zombie Nazis were crazy. He's like, yes, they must know that there were 3 different Nazis. And not only that, there were 5 Americas, and they were no longer America. And there were 8 Japans and 1 China. He says, yes, and China was quite small as Japan had invaded it. And there's no Korea. He says, yes, no Korea. And that's the entire point, is that was a different time world. And they know that that world was the craziest one to many people, and that it was very dangerous, and you could just cross a line on a vestibule or a street, and all of a sudden something would jump on you and eat you. And they said that I don't see how that's much different than what we have coming, but I see a way, because it was supposed to be civilized, and they see it that way. He says, yes, that world was quite ugly, and they know that this is what we were to it not, and they sent us here to the Cloud 9, which was a safe place for soft men and retarded children and women that were beautiful and stupid. He says, yes, that is unfortunate, because now we know exactly what the case is. Us here on Cloud 9, we are being kept as kenneled, and this is not good. We should know not to see away. That is what someone said to the old man at some point in time, and he has been very upset ever since. He says, I have a spinner at home, and I do some stuff. He's like, I'm going to make something myself. We thought that this was a bad idea, but then he came back with a beautiful story. At one point in time, he said he had made something new, and he saw it. And he says, you know what, I think I got something. A botany plant that reproduces almost unerringly. And we asked him what exactly it did. He says, it is like Miracle-Gro, but it is actually like a miracle that we don't see. And then we knew what he said. He was mocking the Bible, which is something we do in some way, because we have been mocked because the man from the church came to mock us once, and we have been upset ever since. He says, yes, that mocking fool, how dare he ever come to us like he was better than us in some way when he was the one who was begging at our doors. This is something we all laugh about, because the situation here in New York is nearly untenable some days. So it has become a point of issue that he has made a miracle grow, and this is something we don't see yet. So we thought about this for a long time. We said, well, what can we do with it? And he says, it is too rare and hard to reproduce to sell. So we thought about it, and perhaps we will take it out to sea and throw it into the Sargasso. And he said the Sargasso is not there anymore, and it is just a field of pop bottles. That is unfortunate, because that would have been an amazing feat. We made some music, it was good music, and now we know a way. I was concerned for a long time that we wouldn't be able to know what we see. So I said, why don't we see anything else? And then they knew that we should probably be who we were and not who they were, and we will not see this way Miracle-Gro if we can. And we thought there has to be a solution. Maybe we can use it after it attacks. That was the riding theory for a long time, is we could counter it with a counter. He says, now we have 2, and that doesn't make sense. He's like, yes, it's because it is not the same timeline. It just appears to be that we have gone back in the world, but all of us have remained very much the same, but we got younger again. He says, yes, this screwy old ark. It is the stupidest of all. When he said this, they became upset because they know that that is what the explanation for many of these things were. And he says, yes, it is because of that. And he gets told to be quiet because we don't see it. And this is something one of the young men said very quickly, how come I don't get to see it? And we said, you will not start with that, or we will give you the HIV virus that produces AIDS. He says, I understand. And they said, just be quiet. And he has not brought it up since, but we know that he thinks about it now. I wish they had not brought it up that single time, because now you see. And ones who see are not who we like. I don't know how to say this to you anymore, but none of us have stock market. And we know that this is not the way it works. We buy our muffins with our hard-earned dollars. If you have any idea what we're going through right now, I'll tell you, man, this is not a good way in NY. We wanted to see a way we see. I hope you understand that none of this has been truth. It's not fiction in any way, but many of it's cherry-mocking. We see that word because it is exactly what we see. It is not something that happened. It is not something that's taking place. It is not fiction, though. It is something that we procure. It will be in the future, and we will see it some way. But we must not see it like we saw. This is something that has bothered us many times because it is very much like we saw it, because it always picks at us away, and it's like a problem with having a big brain. Maybe we are what the issue is to it. I was wondering for a long time how someone could not see when we see the way they saw. But now I knew it's so they can pass by each other still, because they were at war. And I thought, well, we're not doing that. We don't have the first thing to concern about it. But then I see that maybe we see what they saw. So we have concerns about that as well when our corporate masters come to check on our work and see that it's the same. We have thought about this for a long time, but who else is making such strides forward except for that Elon Musk, who stole that from Amano? And we know that. We know many of these things. They are stupid to us in every way. People have asked us to make another one, and we don't have a story to go with it. We don't want to make one that they would see some way know, and it has to have its correct amount of story. He says, even if I made a fourth one, it would be empty like a bucket.